It's always something. Good morning, goblins! Hello, Virmu! First time chatter. Welcome in, welcome in. Recognize you. It's nice to see you. It's kind of loud. Okay. So, it is time. Your stream intro and transition is so cute. Thank you. I made them myself. I made all of my stream assets myself, so thank you. What am I doing? I need my Artfight thing. There we go. Okay. We are doing Artfight's Revenges. I started this one over the weekend. I gotta get my giant ass tablet. Okay. Listen, I'm very small. Okay. Let's go. Let's get started. How was your guys' weekend? Did you have fun? I got ant-apocalypsed. There are ants all over my house, which really sucks. But I also got to go to, like, the Japanese grocery store and get a bunch of snacks, and that was fun. And what else did I do? It was hot. It was very hot. It was like 80 degrees in freedom units. It was hot. All right, this is, who are we drawing? We're drawing Monica, Mira, Slink, and Merle, all for Nyx for Tricks. Because they sent me this gorgeous animation of Fern. Wait, I should totally show the attacks that they did. My character Fern. And they drew all of her outfits. So it's absolutely gorgeous. And so I was like, well, I need to draw more outfits or multiple characters or something. So that's what we're doing. I just need to grab their reference sheets for colors. I already did these two, so I think I can just do these two. Okay. What do I need to do? I need to do her bow. I need to do... Am I gonna get copyright struck? This is totally Animal Crossing music. I say as I turn it up. No, it just sounds like it. It's definitely not. Pay no attention to the song behind the curtain. Oh, and I forgot the stripes in her hair. She has like the cool like coon stripes. Okay, let's do this choker and then make sure that my tracking can see me. There we go, a little collar. Little collar. Give that a little bit of a shaping. And these are like eyeballs. They're bells, but they're eyes, I guess. Yeah. If I make that like sort of behind it. There we go, that looks better. And then I need this same purple color. Is it the same purple? I think it is. And then I can sort of make them like look like they're looking. And they do be looking. Oh yeah, and then I posted this in the Doodle Day Discord, but we made like chirashi bowls. They're so good. Hi Kenj! Yeah, more Artfight. All month long, baby. I think I posted it on all of the Discords that I'm in. The chirashi bowls that my dad and I made. It's such a light yellow. Very, very pretty. My layers are catching up to me. My infinite layers. Yeah. We just went to the Japanese grocery store and we just like picked up a bunch of fish and stuff. It was really good. Really fun. But then we had to eat it in the office because of all the ants. It was really annoying. But yeah, I think my dad called the exterminator and they're gonna come today. So I say I think because I'm only there on the weekends. Big ol' eyeballs. These characters are so cute. I've been having so much fun drawing them. How do I get this to... There we go. It's cute little white eyeballs. Little white pupils. Pretty cute. Here we go. Carve out the nose here. And then her little smile. Cute little smile. Yay! Oh yeah, and then my friends came over yesterday and we had like a little craft day. And I started making a little like clay figure of my D&D character. Which is really cute. My little goblin boy Timber. It was nice to have them over. Everybody sort of hanging out together. We'll do a bit of blush. I could get some eyeliner on this girl. I don't usually like to do like straight black, so I try to pick like a bit of a softer color. Because then I can do like a little bit of shading and stuff on any part that's like supposed to be black. Because if you use straight black, you can't go any darker. The music's like putting me to sleep, man. I was like, yeah, it's nap time. Got like music really reminds me of Animal Crossing. Maybe it's like the instruments that they're using, the like MIDI instruments. It's very Animal Crossing. Oh yeah, the other thing that happened this weekend is I got to spend $550 at the leather store. I don't know why my dad said yes. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't know why he said yes. I said, hey, I want to do this project. And he was like, okay. And I didn't think about how much it was gonna cost. I didn't know. I was like, I can make a backpack. And then I found this other pattern at the leather store too, and I was like, oh, I want to make this one too. We'll just get the pattern. The pattern's only $10. And then he started gathering the stuff for that pattern too. So now I have 2 leather patterns, a bunch of leather, and a bunch of tools. And I'm like, oh. We spent so much money. And he's like, you're not allowed to ask for like anything for a while. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's gonna be super cool. Part of me's wondering if I should like, I don't know, record the process or something. Record myself fumbling. We need to get our dining table set up properly first, though, because like that's kind of where like the project's gonna happen. But yeah. Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute. But I want to do more like mid-form content instead of just streaming. Because I think streaming is fun, but it doesn't have as much like, I don't know, you don't get as many people just streaming, right? Princess Arden, thank you. You like this layout and clip? Thank you. I don't know what I did to it. But I guess I did something to it. But yeah, like I want to do more like just like little like YouTube videos and stuff, crafting stuff. Like mine looks like a mess. That's fair. Yeah. Oh, she looks so cute. Oh, I gotta do the pattern on the shirt too. Let's see, where's the shirt? Happy Artfight, Maker Med. Video's good. Yeah, video's good. I haven't like I don't like have a space to like record stuff. Really. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I need like a flat surface. You know? I don't have another person to help me film, so I need some kind of like tripod for my camera or something. Yeah, even a lot of photos while talking over is a start. That's true. That's true. I feel the space issue. Yeah. That's why I'm a VTuber. It's because my room's a disaster. My room's a disaster and I don't want to get dressed in the morning. That's why I'm a VTuber. Right, so we got, wait, it's like, that's why I became a too lazy for pants. don't even have a dining room table in our flat. Oh no. How will you play Dungeons and Dragons if you don't have a table? I was thinking about streaming D&D soon. I have an art desk that has a lot of stuff on it. That's fair. My desk is just covered in stuff. Basically, so I have these two monitors in front of me, right? And then sort of like I have two monitors and then my giant drawing tablet, which is the size of the monitors. It's literally the same size as the monitors. It's great. I'm so grateful to my dad for that. We go to our friends who bought a house, D&D covered, hell yeah. And then like any kind of like flat space is taken up by stream stuff. Like my microphone and my stream deck and my phone, my Switch dock, and then on the other side of my desk, it's like an L-shaped desk. I have a bunch of stuffed animals for some reason. And like my sewing machine. And like water bottles and stuff like that. So it's just, there's just so much stuff around. Yeah, I was thinking my Thursday streams will become D&D streams. So for those who are new, I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays currently. And I think Thursdays are gonna be D&D streams at some point. To switch sewing machine with a scanner. Mm-hmm. Plushies are a must. Absolutely. Agree. I kind of want these eyes to be like looking over here too. Because I think it's funny if they are. Like if they're alive, the eyeballs. Yeah, I have this plushie collect in the corner sitting in a little hammock. 100% a must. I need to make my plushies a proper hammock. They're currently using my autism sensory swing because they kept falling in the like cracks under my bed, and I discovered that I was like super depressed for a while, right? And then I sort of like got up one day and I realized that they were all like under my bed collecting dust, and I was so sad. I actually cried about it. I was so sad. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What are you guys doing here? Why are you under the bed? Stop that. They're real. They are real. They're real to me. I saw a video of someone getting a sensory swing and I got really lucky because, so basically there are 8 of us living here in this house, and when my mom and I and my brother moved in, my mom and I basically, my grandma spent like all of her savings to build us a new floor. So we have my room, my mom's room, and the bathroom are sort of up on like a half story kind of. But so I got to like pick all the details in my room. So like each of my walls is a different pastel color, and like the back wall that's like behind me is like pastel rainbow stripes. And the construction workers were like this is the best room that we have ever painted. It was awesome. And then I got to put in a sensory swing as well. I got to like have them bolt it to the ceiling. They put an extra beam in the ceiling. Yeah, it's great. And then literally like this year, my aesthetic has sort of flipped. I still love the pastels, but I want more like warm browns and stuff. Kind of like my model, how my model has like a lot of pastels and like soft colors, but like, yeah. I don't need a sensory swing, but man, I would love one to draw and read in. It's cozy. It's really cozy. I wish it was more like rigid, like it was more like if I had some kind of like cushions or something that I could put in it so it doesn't collapse on top of me. That'd be nice. Brown and the pinks and the blues go nice. Thank you. I can't stop staring at your mouth rigging. It's insane. Thank you. I did all of the art for my stream myself, including the mouth rigging. It was very important to me that the mouth rigging was good. So I have VBridger set up, and it took so long. But yeah, my sister streams with me on Wednesdays. I did her model as well, and so I made sure to like set it up with VBridger and everything. So yeah. I actually need to make her a new model because I made her model in my aesthetic instead of her aesthetic, and I feel like I should give her a model in her aesthetic. Model art / rigging comms. I actually do have them. I was thinking about not doing them, but I do have them technically. Sorry. I haven't done commissions in a really long time. This is your channel. Penny could be on your brand. True. But I feel like she should have one in her aesthetic. So I have been working on that. And I've been working on Acacia's model as well. Yeah, tell Penny to stream on her channel if she wants a brand. Oh no, an ad! You should stream on her channel. Acacia, you say. Yeah, I've been working on Acacia's model. Also, hi, Ham. So once I get Acacia's model done, or at least some kind of PNG tuber for her, we're gonna start D&D streams, I think. Sorry I'm late, I got no notifications from Twitch. No worries. That's okay. Twitch hates me in particular. So, you know, it's fine. Okay, is this not Animal Crossing music? Oh, it like... Okay, what part of... And I'm gonna be bombing your model art comms soon, so hopefully so many people I want to come. Oh my god. That's so sweet. I was actually thinking about... I was like waffling on whether I would do them or not. Because it's like... There. Okay. I was waffling on whether I would do them or not because I was like, nobody's gonna do this. But maybe I'll keep them up. I'll keep them for you. There. I should do both of them like this. Yeah. Howdy, hot dog suit. If you don't keep it up, then we can do it under the table. I just throw money at you. Yeah. I haven't done commissions in so long because I had this. I kept having really bad experiences with it. But I think now that my terms are more clear, I think it'll be better. Will I stream again anytime soon? Probably not because of my kiddo, but I want to get back to it one day. Yeah. The cool thing about streaming is it's not a huge commitment, really. You can sort of, like, unless you're doing it to make money, you can sort of just, like, stream when you have time. But you could also, you know, use a VTuber model for just regular YouTube videos, which are a lot easier to do. Just whenever. If you are looking to, like, sort of make something out of it. Yeah, I think I will record myself doing that leather project. And maybe upload it one day. I don't know how to video edit. I learned a lot doing, I did this, you know, silly little, like, what is it? Metopia. I always feel bad joining streams, talking in chat, then disappearing because my kiddo is wanting me to chase them around the house. That's so cute. I don't mind. People come and go. That's kind of just how streaming is. Cute. Look at that. Oh, it looks so good. DaVinci Resolve is super easy to learn video editing in, and the program is free. That's what I use. Because every once in a while I have to edit something out of my VODs. Like Penny doxing me the other day. So yeah, that's what I use. And then I did. She has lipstick. I'm so bad at drawing lips. All right, let's see if I can. I feel like it looks so wrong in my art style. I'm dead with designer fatigue. Please decide the character I should draw on Artfight. Do you have, like, a friend or something? I do, actually. I do have a friend that you can attack. Ha! Where are they? I do have a friend you can attack. Go attack my friend. They have like 3 characters put up. It's easy. All right, now let's see if I can. These look a little bit more like lips. Okay, this isn't that bad. I've literally just been doing revenges this year for Artfight. I've been so lucky. Alright, let's see if I can give these a little bit of shading. Okay. This is not that bad. This is not that bad. I'm doing like 80 attacks this year, so revenge is not enough. 80 attacks? Wow. Well, I have plenty of characters to attack, so you know. And I have a randomize button if you want. If you're having trouble deciding, because I have a lot of characters and I could add more characters actually. I have so many attack ideas for so many people. I have a sketch for Nil made. Aw, thank you. That's so sweet. If you don't get it done by the end of the month, please just submit the sketch. I want to see. I'm trying to balance attack and revenge. I'm impressed by how much I've done so far. Nice. Need fresh blood. Link to my profile. Yeah. I'll pin this again. Unable to pin. Pin the message. Why? Why can't you pin it? Okay, I don't know why I can't pin it from here. How does Artfight work? What's attacking and what's revenge? Attacking is when you send someone a drawing. And revenge is when you send someone a drawing and they've already sent you a drawing. So they've attacked you, and then you attack them back, and that's revenge. Okay, those lips are not that bad. I'll accept this. Yeah. Artfight is really funny because it's an art gifting game. You're gifting art to people. But you're doing it with violent terms. And I think that's funny. Cute. Yes. There are revenge chains where you get to see both A and B's attacks in a chain. Yeah. So like if you attack someone and they revenge you and then you revenge them, that's a chain. Alright, is there anything I'm missing? Nope. Okay, I think I can do lines now. So we are revenging someone with this. But yeah, we are attacking someone with this. Or a train if you're Adam. True. Well, you know. Us autisms and the trains. We love them. My dad and I one time we took the train to Disneyland. Oh my god, best trip I've ever been on. For real. No, why are you flickering? Come on. Don't do this to me. No flicker. Nuh-uh. Sorry, my tablet loves to be a bitch. Come on, no flickering. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Stop getting unplugged. Stop it. Okay. What did that mess up? Something? Probably something. I want to do a dumb attack for Adam with a massive attack of Doodle community in a train for that revenge train. That'd be so fun. I had an idea for Doodle Date Claw Machine. Make lots of plushies. That's so cute. I want to make a claw machine at some point just to have. I think that'd be so fun. I hate when my shortcut accessory for my tablet flickers with power. It hates me. Yeah, I think the power cable just got pulled this time. I have a new power cable because the old one was flickering constantly. And I was like, I need this to get fixed. I can't art like this. My dad has this 3D printer. I want to start making my own D&D minis. Because Hero Forge is expensive. And I have the skills. I can do this. Like, after I made someone's frog character. Oh, Rainbun. I made Rainbun's frog character. And I was like, wait, this is actually, like, I could do this. I could make my own minis. Oh, you went to Moomin World? I went to Moomin World in Finland with my friend who has it as their special interest. It was really fun. I was scared to talk to the mascots. That's fair. Some people have, like, a mascot phobia. Could never be me. I walked right up to Oswald and I was like, you're my favorite. Yeah, Hero Forge is really expensive, but there's like nothing else like it. Like there's like a couple alternatives, but none of them are good. So I want to start making my own D&D minis. Like, can you imagine if I charged $20? If I charged $20 to make people D&D minis, do you think they'd pay it? I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what commissions I can put out there. I have a 3D printer, so I could just buy the file, but I'm lazy. Oh yeah, no, I'm always just buying the file. I don't have send me the mini money for sure. I have so many unpainted minis though. I have so many unpainted minis. I need to paint them. Especially, I have a bunch of like monsters that I need to paint. Maybe I'll do that next time for my friend's craft day. Is I'll paint some D&D minis. Hero Forge also doesn't have the option to Frankenstein minis because I have a Hibissal character. I don't think I know what that is. I'd buy your minis. Oh my god. I was just scared to say the wrong thing to the actor at Moomin World. Oh, that's fair. as long as you're, you know, nice and respectful, it's okay. But I also understand being like afraid to say the wrong thing. I actually have major social anxiety off stream. I don't know why, but like stream just totally takes it away from me. Like I'm just like, yeah, I can talk to people here. I don't know why. I recommend, it's really calm. We could go into Toki's house because a bird was nesting there. Oh, a bird. That's so cute. There's these tiny little birds outside my dad's house. I don't know what they are, but they're really cute. Also, there's this like really pretty cat at my dad's house that's like outside, and I'm like, where is your home? Go home, dude. Like, you are way too pretty to be like an outdoor cat. I don't know. It doesn't feel like an outdoor cat, but it also won't let anyone get close to it, so. But it looks like well groomed and stuff, so I don't know. Is that busy? I think it's busy. I do want some squirrels though. Hmm. Okay, that's good. It's a cross between an antelope and a pixie brownie slash sprite. Cool. Easier to see it as an antelope centaur. That's really cool. I love that. I love like fae type creatures. I just absolutely love them. That's why so many of my characters are like have been like were in or like were born in the Feywild. I love it. I love it so much. I was doing this script writing class because I wanted to get a little degree at my community college before like going to like big college, right? Turns out that doesn't work for me because all of the classes except for this one were at a time that I just like don't function. They were all like late at night. My cat is the most beautiful and perfect cat ever, but my dad doesn't allow her to be an indoor cat even if it's better for the environment. Ugh. It's not just that it's better for the environment, it's that like your cat could be killed. Anyways, so I had this script writing class, right? And we had this group assignment. And the group assignment was basically come up with a story, and in like 15 minutes, you're going to present the story. And we were like, great, we can do that. Except that, like, nobody wanted to listen to me, but then they used my idea anyways. So I was basically like, hey, let's do, like, I really like changelings. So let's do a story about, like, a changeling who's in the human world, and then they, like, feel like they're out of place, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody was just like, what? Like, what? What is that? Like, and I had to explain what a changeling was to these people. And and then they used my story anyways, but they had no idea what I was talking about. Most domesticated cats don't know much for outdoor survival, and there are so many things that could harm them. Yeah. It really sucks. My cat is too dumb to be outside. Yeah, my cats are definitely too dumb to be outside. I would not trust them to be outside. We have a little like catio for them. We tried to let him hang out on the patio with us. He started rolling around and nearly went straight off the edge, so no more patio. Oh, buddy. We have a little catio for our cats that's like enclosed. But like we have like mountain lions around here, so anyone who with an outdoor cat, like your cat's gonna die around here because like mountain lions. Like we literally see all the time on like Nextdoor, and people are like, hey, has anyone seen my outdoor cat? I haven't seen them in a while. Like they haven't come home in a while. And literally everyone, like nobody has any patience for it anymore. So you just see on people on Nextdoor and they're just like, your cat's dead. It's like, wow. Could not be any nicer about it. But yeah, nobody has any patience for it anymore. The mountain lions got him. I totally forgot this like colored part of the hair. Now I have to kind of like add it in. Afterwards. It'll be a little messy, that's okay. It's fine, everything's fine, don't worry about it. No, I'm starting to get in the zone. Don't do it. Don't start focusing. I mean, focus, but like, you have to pay attention to chat too. Keep talking, don't shut up now. Me. To me. That's a good place to... Good place to put that there. Yeah, that's cool. little swirly bit. Just get some of these like more like random streaks in here. My squeaky chair. Alright, that's pretty good. And then this little streak too. Okay. And I didn't draw her other. It's like, do I need to? I may just like copy and paste. I don't know. I may just leave it. I may just leave it. That may just be the best solution at this point. Why? So when you revenge, you're drawing your own version of what you were attacked with? No, when you revenge, it's you are drawing a character or characters of a person who drew something for you. So someone draws something for you, and then you draw something for them back, and that's a revenge. So when someone draws something for someone else, that's an attack. And then if the person who they attacked draws something for them back, that's a revenge. That's how that works. So this is a revenge because the person who I'm drawing their characters, the person who I'm drawing for has already sent me a drawing. I wanted to get words on stream set up, but my loading screen actually isn't set up for it. I didn't want to just like overlay it. Because I think it would have looked silly. Because I have a CRT on my loading screen. If you guys have seen it, you know. But yeah, it didn't look right, so. But like if I got it set up, I could set my stream up earlier and have the loading screen run a little longer while I get like breakfast and stuff. So if I wake up late, it won't be quite as bad for me. I often wake up late on Mondays because I'm so tired from like whatever I did on the weekend. Because I'm transitioning from between houses too, so like it's hard to sleep. So yeah, a little bit more of a buffer, I think, on the loading screen of my streams would be good. Maybe I just need to draw a new loading screen? I don't know. But then I need a new Live TD subscription and yada yada yada. Wish I could afford a new Live TV subscription because there's so many things that I want to do. Raining Bunnies, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. It's good to see you. I was really hoping that people would come by if I like posted in the Doodle Date Discord, but I didn't know if it was like if I was allowed to. Hi, the drawing is looking so cute. Thank you. It's for Nyx. Nyx for tricks. I was just talking about how making your frog character has made me a lot more confident that I could make my own D&D minis. So I might start doing more of those. At least like for animal characters. Thank you. Thank you. It's such a fun character to do too. Absolutely adore her. Little frog barbarian. Excellent character design. Peak. Showed it to my D&D group and they all thought it was cool. Yay! Gosh, I love these like scene, like raccoon tail. It's so cute. All right. Let's add a little bit more. This like keychain here. A little bit more detail here. And then I think we can add a little bit of glow. Yeah, it's a little bit of shine. Oh, and I didn't do any eye shines, but she has white pupils, so I think that works. Maybe? I don't know. Let's turn my sketch back on here. We can work on our other character. Okay, any details that I missed? Don't think so. I think we're good. You guys get to see the start of my process now. Oh no, wait, I need to... Where's the hair? I need to take these 2 layers. I just remembered. So what part of repeat playlist doesn't repeat playlist? Hi Penny. I was talking about you earlier. Someone complimented my mouth rigging, and I was talking about how you stream with me sometimes. Yeah, we were talking about shit. Good. Penny and I have been have decided to learn Japanese together, and we've been using this immersion technique. Yeah, you'll be here on Wednesday. So basically, we've been playing like Animal Crossing to learn Japanese. So my entire Switch is now in Japanese. So anytime I want to play anything on my Switch, it's gonna be in Japanese. And I can't read any of it yet. Okay, what are we starting with? Neck. Over time, it'll get easier to read, yeah. Oh no, I'd better get to learning. Join us. Join us in the learning. This sketch looks really cute, so I really hope that I can draw it properly. You know how it's like sometimes both of us have a basic understanding of Japanese grammar. Yeah. I have a YouTube Shorts level understanding of Japanese grammar. As in, I've watched a lot of YouTube Shorts about Japanese grammar. I may have to go grab a snack. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna go grab a snack and I'll be back in a second. BRB. I return. I have waffle. I got to say hi to my niece, who's downstairs. She's so funny. She's 6 months? 6 months old? Almost. She's really cute. She's like all smiles until she isn't. It's really funny. And then I was like, I'm gonna go back upstairs. I'll see you later. And I know she doesn't know what I'm talking about, but she just looked at me. Like, usually when I talk to her, she's like, smiling and like, sometimes a little giggle. No. I said, I'm going upstairs. She goes, like full stone face. This is so mad. It's really funny. Little grub. Okay. It's so cool how you can see your mouth chewing in your model. It's so expressive. Thank you. I made all of the art for my stream myself, including rigging my mouth chewing. It's V-Bridger. V-Bridger does all the work. Well, I rigged it, but V-Bridger does all of the like calculations and stuff. Okay. I need the dress first. I don't stream, but I kind of want to try making a VTuber model of my Sona. Just purely for fun, but it seems hard to rig. You guys hear the fire truck outside? It's hard, but if you're doing more simple rigging, it's pretty easy. If you're doing non-human characters, it's harder, I think. But it's really fun. And I would highly recommend giving it a try. Even on the like free trial version or whatever. My art style isn't super high detailed anime, so I think it would be fun to see how that would translate into a model. Yeah, I love seeing people do more like simple art styles. A lot of people get really creative. um sort of outside the like anime style. Okay. Sleevey. Oh, we should do the hand first. I need to make a excuse me. I need to make a playlist of like songs that won't get me demonetized that I actually like, because this playlist is short. It's okay. I just know that I don't know. And sometimes they say that you can upload them, but you actually have to go through some like whole process, or else you will actually get struck. It's really annoying. I've had a few VODs where I've had to edit out the. I've had to get the VOD from Twitch to get the musicless version. I recommended Nobo Noko for Adam. No. Hmm. Nobo Noko music for animal cafes. Hmm. Alright, I'll play this. It's an hour long. Nice. This is good. Good suggestion. Thank you. It's cute. I put random stuff on there of theirs on when I need background music. Nice. I ate waffle and now I'm all gummy. Gross. Sorry. I just grabbed safe food. I should not have grabbed waffle. All right. There we go. All right. This actually needs to be here, I think. Like that. Layers, 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 layers. Okay. What is our... Behind everything, I need to do this like back hair. There we go. And we can add the white. I'd probably do the white as like a overlay layer is probably the best way to do that. Yeah. This is a bop. Oh yeah, if you are new here, we have a bunch of channel point redeems, and a lot of them play sounds on the stream, and they're not that expensive. So I know in Adam's chat, people like to play the funny the funny sounds. We have some here too. That's what got Mirmu to follow. Yes. Got him! Hi, Luke! It's getting warm in here. I need my fan. Hopefully it doesn't make too much noise. I have taken my meds. Oh no, I just switched to PC and realized I hadn't yet. Virmu loves funny sounds. Oh shoot, you may have taken your meds, but I have not. Go take them! That's why we have that button. Just to remind everybody. Someone in chat requested it, actually. I think it was Ham. Yay, medicated! Yippee! It'll be nice to be able to raid into to Adam's stream with more people. Because I feel like I usually, like, if I raid in, it's like one person. So, I don't know, kind of a nice little surprise, yeah? We got our little hair tie here. Surprise, I stole your audience. This, that song reminded me of, like, Mario Paint. Does anyone remember Mario Paint, or am I old? We had it on our NES. Maybe I should bring it up sometime as like a fun little like trying to make good art in Mario Paint stream. That'd be pretty funny, I think. But yeah, I used to play it all the time as a kid. I never made anything like good in it, like great in it or anything, because I was, you know, a kid. But yeah, we had it on our NES, and I'd play it all the time. There's a streamer I follow that does Mario Paint commissions on stream. That's so cool. I also I have my original copy of Mario Paint still. That's so cool. I don't know what happened to our NES after the or any of the games. I'm sure Penny has them. Cuz she wouldn't get rid of them. Okay. Yeah, that works. Cuz then we'll have the little like white what is this called? Side pieces or something? I don't know. But yeah, this artist makes very like nostalgic music, huh? Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Grab our red color again. Do these little like crissy crossy rope strand things. I don't know what these are, but they're pretty. And then it just goes into the skull. Which I'm gonna do a little bit differently because I couldn't get it to look good in my style, trying to match exactly. So we're just gonna simplify a little bit. Yeah. Cool. Okay, and then we'll take these 3 layers, copy and paste them here, and just cheat a little bit. There we go. Alright, I think that's good. I think the head shape is a bit off. That's okay, we can fix that. Nice. Bangs, 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 bangs. And then there's like a little... I also thought about doing like story time streams. This may be silly, but I've thought about doing like little like I read you a bedtime story kind of things. I don't know why. I've had people tell me that I'm good at reading stuff out loud. Maybe that would be better as like I don't know, I think that would be better as a video. Because then people could go back to it a lot. You can give your model a little storybook to hold too. Yeah, I need to make myself a like drawing tablet to put in front of myself so that it looks a little less awkward. Videos defo work for that. Also, maybe D&D recaps kind of fit into a stream version. I could do that. That actually would be really fun. To do like a like, here's what happened on my D&D games this week. That'd be fun. I'm writing in my D&D character Timber, who is up on Artfight if you want to attack him. I've been writing his my session notes as like journal pages. And I think it's so fun and cute. Yeah. So like after each session I like write a little journal page about what happened. Which means it's not totally accurate. I may attach an NPC to my party simply as an excuse to do that. That would be really funny. Just, yes, my name is, Note, and I will be your scribe. One of the NPCs in Penny's game is Chuck DuPont. Who allows us to go back to, because it's a lot of like time travel nonsense, so it allows us to go back to a specific point after we die and time loop and all that stuff. Little scholarly goblin guy who's just there to note stuff down, and at the finale of the campaign and the BBEG kills him. Oh no. You are allowed to use Timber for this purpose. If you want. Because that's basically Timber. He's a Order of the Scribes wizard. But he could also just be a little guy. I give you permission to kill him at the end of the campaign. Mostly I just want to hear about how your players react to that, because that'd be really funny. I've returned! Yay! Welcome back. Oh no, did I ever do that on the same layer? Oh no! Oops. Artist problems. When you draw on the wrong layer. Oops. Might be better to just color this in by hand. Small enough. But yeah, I definitely want to do some form of D&D content on Thursdays. Monday will continue to be art and creative type stuff, and Wednesdays will continue to be with Penny. Usually gaming content. I color pretty much everything by hand because I get annoyed at the little fill bucket. That's fair. I've adjusted the settings to where I can mostly use it, but sometimes it's just better to color it in by hand. I don't really want to tie myself down to like one form of content though. I kind of just want to do whatever the ADHD wants me to do. But I'm not sure that's good for like YouTube analytics. You know, like if somebody really likes one type of content that I do. Because I have so many hobbies. So I don't know. Alright, what color are her eyes? You'll attract ADHD gremlins like that, watching a million different things. That's me. ADHD gremlin. So, you know, fellow ADHD gremlins. I mean, Evan and Caitlin are one of my favorite YouTubers, right? And they have a lot of different, like, type. They do a lot of different content. So I think it can work. It's me, I'm ADHD gremlins. You are in a place of your people, fellow ADHD gremlin. Pretty sure that this is just like a art style thing and not actually like necessarily what the character looks like. But I kind of like the white pupils. It's kind of fun to do. I want to make more hobby content, but I'm so lazy, and gaming is so easy to stream. Yeah. Let's do some eyeshadow, because she clearly is wearing like eyeshadow. zoned out. But gaming is so easy to stream unless it lags everything. Yeah. The only game I've ever had problems with is Infinity Nikki. That was the only game that I ever like actually had like problems streaming. Usually games go pretty well. But that was also just because I think I had some kind of weird setting on. I don't remember what happened or how I fixed it. I played Infinity Nikki for a bit, but I hate how they updated it and completely retconned the story. Yeah, that was sort of the beginning of the end for me. I haven't played in a really long time. Like they basically they said a lot of things that like upset people, and then they retconned the whole story. Yeah, the new beginning is not as good. I don't like it as much. Yeah, and then there was the whole like thing where they basically were like, yeah, keep giving us your money. Where they basically admitted to like not caring about their fans and just wanting money. And then they kind of backpedaled on that and it was like, but it was a translation error. Yeah. Yeah, they changed the intro of the game a lot. And it sort of changed everything. She's got like cute little like swirlies on her cheek. All to make the multiplayer stuff make sense, but like, yeah, you didn't need to make the multiplayer stuff make sense. Like, also, but they could have added that stuff without like completely retconning the story. I don't think they needed to change it. The entire vibe of the game just went super downhill after that. Since I was super excited for the update. Yeah, and I like the Itzaland stuff, but I just haven't had that, like, oh, I need to play this, you know? That pull to play it. Okay, is there anything I'm missing? No, her design's pretty simple. Oh, her lipstick. Alright, we gotta do this again. Alright, let's see if I can do it again. Have we got the next region yet? Not after Itzaland. That'll be the 3.0 update, I guess. I might play it at that point. But I don't know. I just haven't cared enough to play the, like, in-between ones. I'm kind of tempted to, like, I don't know. I wish there was a way I could reset the story without losing all my stuff. Because at the beginning of the game, I did pay for a bunch of stuff. And then I don't wanna like lose that. But I also kind of want to start the story over. Because I think that would be fun. So, I don't know. Yeah, New Game Plus would be nice to have. I'm not sure about these lips. What if I had chat be an NPC in my D&D campaign? And you guys are just there. That'd be really funny. In what capacity? I don't know, you guys could be a little goblin that, like, follows the players around. We started a new game called Lancer? That sounds cool. It's been on hiatus. I'm in a Lancer game, technically. It's a mecha-style D&D format. Huh. That's cool. Those D&D hiatuses. They'll get you. Okay. It's not bad. Luckily, my group is just playing other stuff, not total hiatus. Oh, that's good. Our friend group is made up of 2 families. So our kiddos make sessions hard to do. Oh, yeah. I know, I want to get Bleck playing D&D, but because they have mini Bleck. I might be DMing a little TTRPG one-shot, though. So I've never DM'd in my life, so we'll see how that goes off. You got this! It's easier and harder than it seems on the internet. Alright, let's get to lining. It's a simpler system than D&D, so there's that. Nice. Is it like Fate or what's the system? I've been a DM once and it's legit so fun because I feel like I'm just writing out a book but all talking and improv. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. You're just making up a little story together. Oh, hello, ringing in my ear. It's called A Familiar Problem. It's a Critical Role one where you play as a familiar to a witch. That's so cute! What? I want to play that one. I think I remember them playing that. I'm not like a critter or anything. I do like Critical Role. I just I can't sit for however long their streams are. So then I end up behind and then I'm like, "Oh, I should watch Critical Role." But I'm already so far behind. Well, maybe next season. They have it for free because it was free RPG day. Oh. That's cool. Yeah, free RPG day was recently, wasn't it? I didn't get to go to any of my local game stores. I should have. I think my mom's trying to convince my cat to eat. Because I kind of hear her talking in like cat voice. She might be talking to my brother though. It might be half and half. I don't know. It's just like, I just hear her talking, you know? I'm a curious beast, what can I say? That reminds me, speaking of what can I say, I have to, I wonder what Dan and Phil are gonna do today. What silly thing are they gonna do on the podcast? I wish I had a best friend like that. You know? Did I just hear Dan and Phil? You did. I have to listen to their podcast after stream, or at least at some point today. Because if Adam streams, then I'm gonna be there. I wish I felt like I could go on their tour, because I feel like this one's gonna be really good, and I've never been able to go before. But I just feel like it's gonna be so loud. I wish they had, like, I don't know, like a sensory performance where people had to be quiet. You know? Adam has started. Just word game right now, though? Okay, well, we'll go after I finish this drawing, then. Because they do word game for a while. So I should be able to finish this, and then we'll go there. Dang, Dan Phil has thrown me into my younger years, holy cow. Yeah, did you hear the news? Have you heard? Fan is real. Yeah. Yeah, the good word of fan. It's real. I was legit thrown for a loop. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I was one of those people as a kid where I was like, it would be so nice if they were in a relationship, and I do believe that they are in a relationship, but I also believe that they have a right to privacy. And they shouldn't have to tell us that they're in a relationship. My gaydar is never wrong. I have a pretty good gaydar as well. I was like, I'll watch the like Dan and Phil being gay compilations. But I also was like, but you know, if they're not gay, it's cool. They're probably gay. Alright. Keychain, keychain, keychain. Where's his hand at? In my 1,000,000 layers. Here it is. I see. Do you know if the Clip Studio Paint Select Layer tool? No. The what? Select layer tool. There's a tool that when you click on something, say your hand, it switches to that layer. What the heck? How do I get to that tool? It's helpful if you have no organization. Me, for real. I think it's where the cube. Oh, this one? Yo, wait. Where's this? This. Ah! That's brilliant. Now you don't have to look through 1,000 layers. Yay! Okay. I think that's good. I might want to just... Yeah. There we go. Alright. I would say that is pretty much done. Let's slap a quick background on here. Let's see, what color do I want to use? Yeah, maybe like this color. And then do my little multiply trick. Which works every time. And then we just do our little signature here. Yay! All right, we are all done. It's pretty much time. I would usually go about 30 minutes more, but since I'm about to lose my audience, we will go raid on over. Adamo sketches. All right. We're gonna raid on over. I will see you guys there. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me. I would appreciate it if you clicked the links in the cards and followed me on other places. I have a VODs channel. I have a normal channel that will eventually have content. I don't have my own Discord, but I hang out in a lot of Discords, so hopefully I will see you around. And that is all for today. Goodbye, goblins!